Hey guys, what's up? This is Evan from Stock Music Musician. I hope your 2022 is off to a great start. In this video, I want to share with you 5 music licensing trends I've been seeing for 2022. I think this stuff started developing a couple of years back, but I want to kind of share where I think this industry is going. I've been seeing a lot from both you when you send me emails. People that are taking my courses are saying like, oh, this is my experience. This is also just my personal experience with my licensing opportunities. So having prognosticated about this, let's move on to those 5 music licensing trends that I'm seeing for 2022. Before we go farther, though, I do want to let you know that if you're interested in getting started with your music licensing, I have a free music licensing crash course. There's a link down below. It'll get you quickly up and running, learning how to license your music. So let's move to the first trend that I'm seeing, and that is continued devaluation of music. What do I mean by this? I mean, what somebody will pay for a piece of music is continuing to go down. It used to be probably in the, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, people were paying hundreds to thousands of dollars for the right to a piece of sync music. These days, some people aren't even paying a full dollar. This is because there is a lot more competition for music, right? There are just more people making music, but also, to be honest, the cost of making music has also gone way down, right? Back in the day, like in the 70s, if you wanted a minute-long piece of music, you would have to go to a professional recording studio staffed with mixing engineers and recording engineers. You'd probably need a full band, which you'd have to pay at a salary. So then you'd have to pay for the tape. You'd have to, master it, send it all out. And then you'd have to distribute it, like probably by making physical, reel-to-reels that you'd send to companies. So the cost of distribution and production has gone way down. Consequently, at least in part, the price for music has also gone way down. You can see this not only just in the average selling prices on sites like Pond5, but also the continued growth of subscription-based music licensing royalty-free sites where instead of paying per song, people maybe pay $20 a month and they have unlimited downloads of songs, which is just, to me, ridiculous. But that's a train that has set. That is a train that's in motion. We're not going to put that train back in the station. That is a ship that has set sail. So maybe this year I might actually experiment with some of those types of libraries. I am kind of against them just out of principle, but I think, hey, maybe there is an opportunity there. But you also see it even in exclusive libraries that they are giving more music away for free without a sync fee in the hopes of making it up on the back end with publishing royalties, songwriter royalties for you as a songwriter. And I think in 2022, we're going to continue to see devaluation of what you get paid for having your music purchased, for having your sync license purchased, for all of these trends. And we'll kind of tie this in together with a few of the other trends that we're seeing because I think some of the recessionary forces brought on by COVID are also causing buyers to look for more value. The next trend we're going to see in 2022 is kind of the opposite. While yes, you're getting paid less for your music, I think there are more opportunities for placements in 2022 than ever before. And there will continue to be growing and growing and growing opportunities. So you might be getting paid less per opportunity, but if you can get your music sold 3 times for less money, you might ultimately make more money overall because the pie is expanding. Why do I say this? Well, think back to, the 70s or the 80s when there were like 3 TV channels. Those were your only opportunities basically to get your music placed. Maybe on some radio stations or whatever, maybe some books on tape. I don't know. I don't even know if tapes existed in the 70s. The point is simply that there were a very limited number of opportunities back then. As we fast forward to today, you have ever-growing numbers of, satellite channels. You've got webcasts, you've got podcasts, you've got internet radio shows, you've got digital radio, you've got all of these TV networks going, like Peacock or Paramount Plus, you've got HBO Max, you've got, Discovery, Disney Plus. It's like the proliferation of of places to get your music placed is just expanding massively. All of these channels need music. And so while you know, in the past might have gotten paid more for a single buyer, there are way more places you can put your music these days. And that doesn't even include, you know, just the growth of YouTube channels, the presence of, you know, or access to more international markets, right? Because whatever trends we're seeing in American media, you have to imagine that, you know, in Western or developed country media, you have to imagine that, you know, there's a lagging force that you'll see these proliferations of media start spreading across the world, and that there will always be these, at least for the next few years, these opportunities will just kind of be like waves cycling upon each other. So I think we're going to see more opportunities to sell our music and get placements in 2022 than we did in the past. Related to this, there are now more revenue streams than ever, and they're easier to access for the average musician. And there are two particular ones I think I'd like to highlight here. First, in-store streaming, which is where, you know, you go to a grocery store, a retail shop, whatever, they've got music playing overhead. In the past, stores had to get really expensive licenses from BMI or ASCAP or whatever, and they'd play top name content, and those musicians would get paid for it through their publisher. That still exists, and that's always going to exist for big retail. Like, you go to, you know, I don't know, Target, you think they want to be playing they just want to be playing the best music possible to put people in the right mood to buy. They know what sells, they know what helps people sell. But for a lot of smaller shops, a lot of shops in developing countries, a lot of mom and pop shops, that the price of that license might be out of reach. And so they can get a much more affordable, direct in-store streaming service that doesn't go through BMI and ASCAP. And you as an artist can make some money through this, through revenue sharing. I probably make $15 to $20 a month through in-store streaming. Not a ton, but that's money that I wouldn't make otherwise. And, you know, it's getting my music out there. It's actually being listened to, being heard by probably millions of people as a result of this. So that's one of the revenue streams. And sites like Audio Sparks and Song Trader allow you opportunities to get into these in-store platforms. It's very little money per stream, but it can add up, especially if you've got the right type of music. Like, nobody wants sad stuff while they're shopping. It should be upbeat, poppy, maybe with lyrics, seasonal, that sort of thing. And the other revenue stream that we're starting to see is finally, basically, I think it's called the MLC. I think that stands, maybe the Music Licensing Coalition. I don't remember what it stands for, but essentially, independent artists for a long time have not been getting their mechanical royalties for streams on platforms like, Facebook or, all sorts of anything aside from Spotify and maybe YouTube and a few others. All that money was sort of just disappearing because it was hard to collect and there wasn't, a way to do it. The big guys were always getting paid because their distributors are powerful. They've got control. They've got the money to sue. But a couple years ago, a law was passed in America to modernize all that. And so now you're going to start seeing increased payouts if your songs are properly registered for these streams. And I think for me, I think it started maybe in the second half of 2021. And I've probably already seen maybe $150 from it. That's a rough guess. But in the second half of 2021 into maybe the first, well, it's still January, but I think I got a payment for it already, or maybe it was the end of December. So this is another way that you will start getting to see some revenue for your music. So neither of these are massive chunks, but if we're talking, collectively, this is probably an extra, depending on the size of your catalog, extra $4 or $5, maybe $600 or $700. If you've got even more, poppy, licensable stuff that goes more viral, it could be thousands of dollars. So it's not anything to turn your nose up at, and you're not doing any additional work really to get it. It's just another way of monetizing your music. And so, yes, like the upfront sync fees are being devalued, but your same music is kind of getting more valued, especially through the MLC, and then also in-store streaming. You can do more with your music. The next trend that is still an issue is COVID. Basically, as I understand, most of this royalty-free music economy, it is mostly either smaller independent businesses in the US or even medium-sized to large-sized businesses in developing countries. And I think they are the type of customers that have been hit hardest by the pandemic, because, you know, the big guys got all the bailouts, but now stimulus money is running out. People are still struggling, and I think that they're not really willing to pay up for music as much as they were before, which I think in part is driving the shift towards those subscription services because buyers don't have as much capital. But also, just like, I mean, many businesses have closed their doors. You know, it's not all rosy, you know. So I think you're going to continue to see, especially with the Omicron spread going on right now, you know, thousands of people still dying a day, that the economy is going to continue to be suppressed, and it definitely affects music licensing as much, if not more, than other industries, especially on the royalty-free side, the lower end of the industry, because these are kind of independent people that are looking for music. If you're talking about TV and productions like that, they're going through exclusive libraries, and I don't think that side has been hit nearly as much. So, you know, TV content, there was that brief pause for a few months. You're hearing about some shows getting shut down here and there again, but by and large, from what I'm seeing, you know, TV production, movie production is still continuing more or less apace. And so if you're in exclusive libraries, I think they will continue to place your music at a regular clip, maybe even accelerated, because there might be some pent-up demand for stuff that wasn't able to be filmed or finished in 2021. On top of that, just talking about one of the previous revenue streams we had referred to earlier, the in-store streaming, that took a big hit with COVID because many people are not going into retail stores anymore, right? Like, especially there's a lockdown. Well, nobody's going out, you know, so these stores are less likely to pay for music or even to be open for a day to stream music. So, like, I was probably getting, you know, I probably saw a 50% cut in my in-store streaming when COVID hit, and it's bounced back a little bit, but not that much. And I think that will still continue to be a factor in 2022, especially once with the winter going on. I think a lot of people probably aren't going to go out, so or restaurants will again and businesses will again temporarily close for a couple months. So I think you're going to see that the licensing business isn't going to be quite as good on the lower end and in the in-store streaming as it would otherwise be. And the final thing I'm going to say is that hard work, skill, and consistency will continue to win. They are how you get your music placed. They're how you build relationships with libraries, and they're how you sell music, and then you get paid from your music. If you want to learn how to get your music licensed and all of that, like I said, I've got that free crash course. But when it comes down to it, you do hard work to improve your skills, and you practice your skills consistently, and you will create a body of work, a library, a portfolio of music that you can proudly present to royalty-free libraries or to exclusive libraries, wherever. And you'll put this content out there, and it will sell if you're doing the right things, if you're writing the right type of music, if you're working hard to, you know, focus on music that sells, if you're developing your skills as a mixer, you know, as a songwriter, as an arranger. And again, if you're doing this consistently, because music licensing is ultimately a numbers game, and you just have to have a lot of music out there. So you put these three together, and you will win. I really hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you've seen any other trends that you'd like me to highlight, and I really hope this was helpful. If you've got any questions about music licensing, be sure to leave them in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. Check out that crash course. I also have some more advanced material, which you can just check out my website, stockmusicmusician.com, for more on that. Bye.